Hi, Miss Paisley. This is my vlog for my independent study. I did both reading and writing. I read The Scarlet Letter, and I wrote about sex education in our state and why it needs to be fixed. And going through this, I did a lot of Googling. I had to Google chapter 3 of The Scarlet Letter because I had no clue what was going on. The doctor wanted... from Googling it, it seemed like the doctor wanted her to keep the guy a secret so that he could, try to figure out who it was. I don't know. He was, smiling, and she was like, I will keep your secret, or I will not say anything. And I was very confused by that interaction. I was confused throughout the chapters. For the first 3 chapters, I had no clue who Hester was. I thought Hester was someone on the council who was trying to punish the main character, not actually the main character herself. And then I just was confused with that whole book. I had no clue what was going on. And while writing the sex education, I do not think it was my best work. My best work was probably my Don't Send News, or 24% is Ridiculous, or Confident and Conceited, because while I was interested in those topics, and I am interested in the sex ed one, they were more my age. I felt like they were more appropriate for my age. With the sex education one, I feel like if I was older, it'd be more appropriate. Where writing it now, it seems a little creepy. And I even put it that I know adults find it disturbing or disgusting for a 15-year-old to ask how to have sex, but it would be helpful information. That line, I hate it. It is very unprofessional. It is very... it's not emotional. It's just... it is disturbing. Because I am 15, and I'm writing to this really old dude who's our governor about how I want them to actually teach me about sex, and it's a little weird. And I thought this whole piece was a little weird. I had to write it a lot, and I'm still not happy with it. I would not give this a very high grade, which is sad to me because I did work very hard on it. I had to rewrite it so many times, but I just wasn't getting it right. And it's still not right to me. A lot of these are very weak arguments, and I just couldn't find any arguments for sex ed in school that I liked. And then, so then I went to these websites that were against sex ed in schools, and I tried rebuttaling what they said. And there was one that was, they definitely were not very educated, the website, whoever wrote it, and it's 10 good reasons to oppose public school sex ed. There were a lot of mistakes in it, and it was just overall horrible. And one of the things I rebutted was public school sex ed attacks and undermines the religious faith of many students. Catholic and Christian students who have been taught by their parents that premarital sex, birth control, and abortion are wrong must sit in class and hear an authority figure contradict their beliefs. And I put literally all of school is against Christian beliefs. Should we stop teaching science because Christians believe that the earth was built in 7 days? Well, science teaches it to be built for billions of years. And then I put there are private schools for a reason, for the parents who don't agree with public school ways. I find that funny, but I don't think it should be in an open letter to a governor. I think that's more something to say to I feel like that should be said to someone if you want to make them angry, not if you want to prove a point. Even though it is proving my point, so I kept it in there. I mostly kept it in there because I thought it was funny, and I really shouldn't have, looking back, because it wasn't very professional, and it made me sound like a kid. And then there was a part where I put, did you know that the female genitalia has 3 holes? Well, duh. He's probably a married older man. Of course he's going to know this, or maybe he doesn't because he's stupid, but... And I put, I didn't know until last summer when I Googled it, and I felt like that made me sound dumb, and I really probably shouldn't have put it in there. I probably should have just stick to when asking other male students if they knew the answer to the question, their answer was always, there's more than 1 hole. Even though that sounded sort of weird, like I just go up to random boys and ask them if they know how many holes are there in the female genitalia, which I don't. I only ask my friends because they're making fun of them. I don't know, it was weird. But I have done similar work in the past. I like writing argument pieces, mostly because I like to argue, because I'm a jerk like that. And I do think I have grown this year, where in 8th grade, my argument pieces, we didn't write a lot of argument pieces, and they weren't very good. And I feel this year they have definitely grown with the blogs and the looking up and the learning about stuff. And I have learned a lot from writing blogs, and I really loved writing blogs. And I would love to keep writing blogs throughout high school and maybe throughout life. A goal for myself that I'm setting is that maybe by next year, maybe the end of next year, is to build up my vocabulary and build up my reading comprehension enough to read all of the Scarlet Letter and actually understand it and not have to Google what any of it means. And what was really frustrating is the word structures of the Scarlet Letter. They just didn't make any sense to me. And it really frustrated me when I Googled it and it was something so easy. And it's like, yeah, it's this. You should know this. And it was so hard to understand for me. And my reading comprehension has always been low, which annoys me. But what I learned about myself as a learner, or as a reader and a writer, is as a writer, I'm very biased, I'm very emotional, and I would like to sort of detach my opinions from my writing more, so that I sound more professional and people take me more serious. Whereas now they'll read it and they'll be like, oh god, this person is so biased, you should not use them as a source. Where I want people to read my stuff and be like, yeah, they know what they're talking about. This isn't just emotion and their stories, their personal stories, which is like half of the government, or the Dear Mike DeWine, or an open letter to Mike DeWine. Is I tell 2 stories which actually happened. Like, the slut shaming one actually happened. That was embarrassing. And if I had a chance to redo this piece, I probably would choose a different book, and I would write about a different subject. And if I would redo these pieces, I probably would reread the Scarlet Letter more, so that instead of Googling it to understand it. And I would probably rewrite a lot of sentences to sound more adultish and I would probably delete a lot of the story I wrote. And I want to spend more time on writing fiction in school. I really like writing fiction. It's a lot of fun. And I like telling stories that are a little twisted and are a little scary. And I think I need help with my reading comprehension. And I don't really know how teachers can help with reading comprehension. It's just the thing that I struggle with the most. And I hope that next year that I will get to my goals. But until then, I'm just going to keep reading books and maybe reading harder books. So yeah, thank you. This is my independent study.